How do you build rapport with a client? And more importantly, how do you do that in a way that drives profit and growth back into your company? That's what we're talking about in today's video, so stay tuned. Hi, I'm Rachel Steininger, and first, we're gonna be talking about why we even build rapport in the first place. And I'm gonna share with you a really cool story about a 15-minute phone call that turned into a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. Then we're gonna talk about some excellent rapport building questions that you can use with clients right away. And finally, because rapport building is not a one and done thing, we're gonna talk about how to use the rapport you've built to sustain your business, even through major mistakes, putting your business at risk. And I'll share with you a story of another client who came back even after firing us just months before. So let's kick this off with why you should build rapport in the first place. Now, I mentioned that multi-billion-dollar relationship, and here's the key. I was on a 15-minute phone call that I didn't really need to be on. It was all about technical questions, things that were not really in my purview, so to speak. But a colleague of mine had said, hey, I know that you cover this company. Why don't you just listen in and see what's going on? Well, it piqued my interest when I was listening in, and I started asking questions, rapport building questions actually, and started to get to know this client and what they were actually seeking to do. They were asking these really specific technical questions, but the field and the scope of what was available to them and what ended up being available to us was so much bigger. And it was rapport building questions that really created the entire opportunity. That 15 minutes turned into an hour and a half, turned into essentially the next 9 months being spent launching this major initiative with our new strategic partner. So don't overestimate any situation as a possibility for rapport building, because you never know when you take the time to get to know your clients, when you start building that know, like, trust factor from the initial conversation, that rapport building, you have the opportunity for some really great things that you might never have known were even possible. I would never have known about this relationship or this opportunity if it hadn't been for getting on a 15-minute phone call that I didn't need to be on, but asking rapport building questions in the process. So before we get into the questions, where do you see opportunities to build rapport with your clients? Why did you land on this video today? Because I'd love to know what kind of rapport, what kind of trust are you trying to build with your clients, and to get you where? Drop your comments down below and let me know, and let's see if we can help each other out with some solutions. Now let's talk about the rapport building questions that you can use with your clients or prospective clients right away. So here's a couple of questions that I think are great. Number one is a concept called future pacing. It's what we do oftentimes in sales meetings, but it can work equally as well with your normal clients that are already on your book of business. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna dive deeper into their desires, into their goals, and we're gonna start asking them to set a tone for what's going on in the future. What is it that they're trying to really achieve? Understand how those goals are interrelated to other things that you may know about your client. So for example, what is it that this thing that you're gonna do? Let's take my 15-minute phone call as an example. What is this thing going to actually accomplish for you? Like, what are you trying to build here? Who is it that you're building it for? How is it going to affect your business? Where do you want it to fit in? What kind of goals do you have for this in the future? Is it just this, or is there something bigger? Oftentimes there's something much bigger at stake than just the simple question or the simple issue that your client is bringing up. So if you want to build rapport, we can help future pace, even in normal conversations, not just sales ones, to help create that sense of trust and connection and community by creating these shared stories. The next thing that we can do is we can start to connect them with new ideas. This can be a great way of building rapport with clients as well. Now, one caution that I have here is we're not going to do it in a way that seems like we're accusing or that they are dumb and haven't thought of things before. But we're gonna ask a lot of questions like, what if you tried this? Have you thought about that? Because what we want to do is, in the spirit of that future pacing, we want to start expanding the horizon of possibilities that they have. We want to start creating what is a shared vision between their ambitions and our business. When we can create that rapport, what we're doing is that shared vision is what allows all of the benefits to come back to you in terms of growth and profit and better client relationships. So using those, what if you tried this? Oh, have you thought about that? Oh, how would it work if we tried this together? Start using we in your language too, and you create that sense of shared vision and rapport building with your clients. Now, the final tip that I have for you has a lot to do with word choice. Now, I have more questions for you. They're in a PDF download down below because there are far more rapport building questions than just the ones that I'm sharing here today. So if you want to grab that down below, you can get that and I'll share even more with you. But this last tip is one that I think is so critical and really can change the course of your conversation. What does this remind you of? Why? Doesn't that remind you of a little kid? It's actually kind of irritating, even for me doing this on camera. It's a little bit irritating. So when we use the question why with our clients, oftentimes we can get the same reaction. There's like a sense of defensiveness that comes up, or, oh, like, leave me with my boundaries, right? And all of these questions that we're asking, the future pacing, the shared idea, that shared vision that we're building, all of these things can kind of bring out a defensiveness in our clients because it may sound like we're questioning their vision. It may sound like we're just pushing them a little beyond their comfort zone. And that question why can really, really do it. Even though we're told to dive into the why is a powerful question, and yet it can also be a very disruptive question in that rapport building conversation. So what we want to do is we want to ask how and what instead. And this works like a charm. So it might look something like this. Well, what is the intention behind that? What are you trying to achieve when you do that? What would this mean to you if this actually happened? Or things like, how would this work out? How will this affect everything else? How does this matter to your business? How will this make an impact in other areas of your life, in your business, in your, whatever the scope is that you work with your clients on? When we ask how and what, it does not trigger that why defensive reaction. It does not make us think of little 3-year-olds expressing their independence and wanting to know the secrets of the world. It allows us to dive deeper without hitting those triggers. So ask what and how, because what you'll also find is not only does it not trigger those things, but you're gonna get a lot richer data. A lot of times when we ask why, people just give us pat answers. Just, oh, well, because, right? That's the other thing. You ask somebody, well, again, it reminds us of children. Why did you do that? Why? As a parent? Well, because I felt like it. I don't know, right? It doesn't get us good answers. It challenges people in a way that, again, it puts us on the defensive. If you ask what and how questions, people will start spilling out the information. And so this sense of rapport building, the shared vision that you're creating, all those things that will drive profit and growth back into your business and into that relationship, what and how are the keys to success. I cannot stress this one enough. So, and you'll find that one in that PDF download below, along with other questions that you can use to connect better with your clients. But first, before we get to this final step, this thing where what happens when things aren't going right in a business relationship, how do you rely on that rapport building you've already done? And how do you continue to create rapport in your conversations with clients, even when things aren't going right? And we're gonna cover that in a second, but first, I'd love you to hit that subscribe button because I know you don't wanna miss out on tips like this for your business, for growing your business. We drop videos every single week, so hit that subscribe button. So question for you, when does rapport building actually take place? Answer, all the time. We don't take rapport building and just put it in some little neat box, like this happens during the sales stage, or it happens in the onboarding stage, or we do it every 6 months in a certain meeting. No, it happens all the time. And when we can remember that, we can truly use it to our advantage, because there are times when things go wrong in our business relationships, and we need that rapport to carry us through, because that rapport is essentially a shared trust, shared vision that we've created, and we want to be able to rely on that when things don't go right. I had a client who fired us. They had fired us for a product that no longer worked for them, but they still called us up a couple months later and rehired us for something completely different. Now, these were multi-million-dollar mandates, so losing one was a big deal, but they wanted to come back right away because they trusted us. They trusted us to have the conversation, to know what it was like working with us, and they had that rapport and trust. Not only did they come back for that, but they came back to ask for more strategic initiatives with us. So sometimes a product might not work, but a relationship does. And when you have that rapport that you've built, it really carries you through even when mistakes are made. I've had other errors happen where a mistake is made and you have to go out to the client and have that tough conversation. Actually, that multi-billion-dollar deal I mentioned earlier, it almost fell through simply because a mistake was made in communication and we had to go and correct it. And so that difficult conversation, the bad news that I had to deliver to one of the key partners in that deal, I don't think that we would have made it through if it hadn't been for all the rapport building that had taken place all the way up to that. They trusted us to have that conversation with a strategic partner, to come up with the solutions that were going to allow us to see the deal through. But it was still really difficult. So you take these hits sometimes in the relationships you have in business. And what you want in your client relationships is to be able to rely on that rapport. So start the rapport building from the very beginning, but continue it throughout the entire journey. Now, if you'd like to go and start putting in this action into your business, go grab that PDF download, the one I mentioned. It has 5 questions that you can use with clients at any point in time to help drive that rapport, but also drive referrals and growth back into your business. It's a great way to generate new leads and to actually see some growth. So go check that out now.